He is easily one of the most recognizable characters in the entire Mario franchise, arguably even gaming in general, and yet something about Toad is intrinsically confusing. After all, just like Yoshi, he is essentially a representative of his species, all of which look and have the exact same name as him, and that can quite easily lead to strange situations. But unlike with Yoshi, where it is widely accepted that like 99% of the time, if you see a green Yoshi, it's the titular one, with Toad, it's not that simple. Probably the best way to illustrate this is by looking at Toad, the character, his first ever appearance. Because whereas the species debuted in the original Super Mario Bros., the debut of Toad the character is often considered to be Super Mario Bros. 2, which included a playable Toad as one of the 4 main characters. It is technically possible that this Toad is also one of the many telling you the princess is in another castle, but since we can't know for certain, SMB2 is considered his first appearance, not the first game. Weirdly enough, in-game, Toad appears entirely blue, even though official artwork for the game makes very clear he is meant to be seen with the same appearance as he always has. In the early days of the franchise, Toad the character is really only recognized by being a prominent and relevant character to a game, not something specific. For example, the playable Toad from Mario Kart 64 is considered to be the same character as the playable Toad from SMB2, even if this really cannot be confirmed for 100%. An interesting game to point out in this regard is Super Mario RPG, particularly the original Legend of the Seven Stars. This game is one of the first to feature Toad as a character, as an advisor to the Chancellor, while also having plenty of generic Toads that on the surface look identical. However, due to the fact that this Toad is the only one to have his name mentioned in his dialogue box, he can still be identified as the unique and familiar Toad. But it doesn't take a genius to figure out this was gonna get confusing if it wasn't already. So in the early 2000s, Nintendo decided they had to figure out a way to separate Toad the character from the rest of his species. Starting with Mario Power Tennis, ironically enough a game where he isn't even playable, Toad the character has a different look from his similar brethren. Red spots on his cap, but a blue vest. That is the new official appearance of Toad the character and Toad the character only. Every other Toad would now often have a vest that matches the color of his cap, which is actually what Toad the character looked like in Mario Sunshine, the last main Super Mario game prior to Power Tennis, confusingly enough. And even though Nintendo does like to be inconsistent when it comes to things like this, they stuck to this new design decision quite faithfully. Going into the DS and Wii generation, almost every game followed in line, from big blockbuster titles like Mario Kart Wii to smaller games made by different companies like Mario vs Donkey Kong and Mario vs Sonic at the Olympic Games. And up until this very day, this is officially Nintendo's stance on what Toad the character looks like. It separates him from his brethren in the Mario movie, it's often seen in general marketing, and it has even been retroactively altered if applicable. For example, Mario Party Superstars brings back the minigame Roll Call from Mario Party 2, where you must count a group of Toads. In the original game, those all had the blue vest red dots combo, but in the Switch version they wear red vests as per the new guidelines. Super Mario RPG's remake also retroactively changes the appearance of all Toads but the main one, so he stands out properly now. But I kinda already hinted towards it, Nintendo has a history of being inconsistent, and even though there are clearly rules or guidelines in place regarding the Toads now, there are still some noteworthy and sometimes confusing exceptions. One of the most baffling is Toad's playable appearance in Super Mario 3D World. You see, Mario 3D Land is one of the games that falls in line with the guideline, and despite not really needing it, features one unique Toad that sports the official red dots blue vest combination. It isn't a major role, he just manages cannons that shoot Mario to airship levels, but at least it is consistent with the rest of the franchise. And then you have 3D World. And for some reason, this game features Toad with a blue vest and blue dots, just like he originally had in-game in Super Mario Bros. 2. And while that may lead to the idea that this is actually the blue Toad seen in 2D Mario games since New Super Mario Bros. Wii, that is not the case either. This Toad is never referred to as Blue Toad at any point, only as Toad, implying it is the main Toad as had appeared in plenty of games. There are also more hints to suggest this isn't the familiar Blue Toad. Blue Toad's fire form, as seen in the 2D games, makes his hat blue and his dots red, but Fire Toad in 3D World actually resembles Yellow Toad much more, with a yellow cap and red dots. Furthermore, and this is minor stuff, but still, in Mario Kart Tour, Toad the character and Blue Toad are separate characters with separate character emblems. When Cat Toad was added, clearly based on the Toad from 3D World, it was given the same emblem as Toad the character and not Blue Toad or even his own unique emblem, confirming that the Toad from 3D World is indeed the main Toad we often see, except now with blue dots for some inexplicable reason. But this weird little mishap aside, most Mario games continue to follow the established design of Toad the character faithfully. From the many spin-offs that made him playable to Mario's adventures on phones with Super Mario Run, all kept things consistent. Well, all but arguably the biggest Mario game of the past decade, Super Mario Odyssey. I don't think I have to tell you this game has the Mushroom Kingdom playable after the credits roll, and as you would expect, it is filled to the brim with Toads, all of which look identical and have red dots and a blue vest. It's honestly kinda crazy to think that this is the game that messes up Toad consistency after literal decades following the rules introduction in Mario Power Tennis. Paper Mario fell in line, the most random collaborations fell in line, but Mario's big 3D adventure on the Switch messes it up. And it was definitely not intentional either, since I've already mentioned that games released after Odyssey went out of their way to make it so a group of Toads never wear red dots and blue vests. It's an oversight, simple as that, but it's a very surprising one to say the least. And one that has some serious ramifications for another confusing aspect of Toad the character's portrayal. The age-old question, is he Captain Toad? We know Toadette is Explorer Toadette, they are the same character, so it would be logical to think that Captain Toad is also the main Toad then, right? Well, as you might expect from Nintendo at this point, there has been a bit of inconsistency in the past here. But the vast majority of the evidence suggests that Captain Toad and main Toad are completely separate characters. First of all, there are several games in which both appear. 3D World is an obvious one, as while main Toad may look awfully blue in this game, he is still main Toad. Mario Galaxy 2 is another, which actually features Captain Toad without his modern exploration gear and instead shows him being a red Toad with a red vest, further suggesting he is not the same person. Koichi Hayashida, producer of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, has also gone on record to say they are in fact not the same, which you would think he would know, seeing as he is Captain Toad's creator and all. It's all very strong evidence, borderline confirming evidence, I would argue, so maybe it's more accurate to say this is the truth, but in true Nintendo fashion, it hasn't always been accurately portrayed. In the original Super Mario Maker, donning the mystery costume of main Toad can trigger dialogue where one of the regular Toads refers to him as Captain, which could of course be seen as a reference to him being Captain Toad. In Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Toad appears as a spirit, which can be enhanced to form the Captain Toad spirit. This is a little odd, as most enhanceable spirits are characters that are the same thing. Think Ganondorf becoming Beast Ganon, Baby Mario becoming Superstar Baby Mario, or Pokemon changing form. However, while they are certainly the exception, several Mario spirits disregard this rule, with for example Piranha Plant becoming PD Piranha or Boo becoming King Boo, even though those are certainly not some kind of upgrade. It's a little weird, but it's definitely not enough to go against what appears to be the official Nintendo ruling: main Toad and Captain Toad are two separate characters. And of course, we cannot conclude a video talking about the inconsistency of Toad without talking about the hat. Or is it a hat? You've probably seen this image from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show before, which has often been used as definitive proof that Toad's mushroom cap is a hat and not part of its body. But in the Switch era, we've actually had much more conclusive evidence that the cap is considered part of its body. In an interview for Mario Odyssey, director Yoshiaki Koizumi said it was part of its body and not a head. In Mario Kart Tour, regular Toad does not count towards challenges that require characters to wear a hat, suggesting that, well, it isn't a hat. And Super Mario Bros. Wonder's loading screen leaves zero room for doubt, stating that the mushroom is to be considered part of its big head and it's not a removable cap. I will admit that some of the outfits in, say, Mario Kart World do make things a little more complicated again, as for example in the Pro Racer costume, the helmet seems to have replaced the cap, but that cannot be confirmed, so for the time being, the official answer is no. Toad does not wear a hat, it's part of his face. And that concludes our dive into Toad's weird history. Did you think Toad wore hats, or that Toad and Captain Toad were the same character? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.